Hey, what's up, everybody? For your fix of fitness, health, life, and laughs, you know where it's at. That's right, it's at the podcast with your host, yours truly, Adam Pullman. Hello and welcome to this episode of the podcast. This is the show where all of your health, fitness, and nutrition questions are answered. Today's episode, though most episodes are mostly Q&A, today's episode is an interview with Eric Roberts. He is a coach and trainer that I got connected with on TikTok and Instagram, and he puts out some amazing content. He communicates extremely well. He is able to simplify things well to help you better apply what are usually complex concepts without making them feel complex. Like, he can reduce them to simple ideas that you can easily apply in your life. And we talked about some awesome stuff today. We talked about the health and fitness space. We talked about how to dissect and discern what is legitimate content on social media and what you might want to, take with grains of salt or avoid. We talked through a few different things that are extremely important for people right now that are listening to improve their health and fitness. I mean, we talked about a ton of stuff. I love his energy. Great dude. Hopefully we'll have him back on here in the future. But that is what you're going to be listening to today. Now, if you're listening to this and you are interested in finding a way to get some more protein in, I've got a delicious option for you. So Magic Spoon is an affiliate of mine that I love working with. Now, one thing that we talked about in the episode was, people promoting stuff. Maybe stay away from that. And I'll play devil's advocate a little bit there. The reason I promote Magic Spoon and the reason I promote Mirror is because I use the products and I love them. And I figured, well, if I can get a discount for people, why not? I make no money off of it. Well, that's not true. There's a little bit of money made. There's a kickback, but then all that's given to charities. So I personally don't make any money off of it. But regardless, check out Magic Spoon. You can get $5 off your order by using the code PullmanFit at checkout. I just got a box sent in the other day, and I tried the it's maple waffle, I think is what it is, and it's really good. I love it. Not as much as I love the fruity, but the maple waffle was surprisingly delicious. So again, that's magicspoon.com. Use the code PullmanFit at checkout for $5 off of your order. And then lastly, if you want to get connected with some more exclusive content on health, fitness, nutrition, what it might look like to work with me, learn more about the things that my clients are doing to see results, join our private community. Like, this is an awesome place where a lot of us get together to talk in depth about a lot of different subjects. Like, yesterday we just did a workshop on finding the quote balance, or what we think is balance between work, life, health, and fitness, and all that stuff. So go ahead and message me on Instagram with group, and I will send you a link to that private community so you can join us there. I'd love to have you there. So that's all I've got for announcements. Without further ado, here is that interview with Eric Roberts.
100%. Well, it's funny. I know you follow Jordan, right? Jordan Zayat.
Yeah.
So that was like the first dude I ever got on my podcast because he's the GOAT. And like the day of, I was like, oh, we're gonna use this thing, and I have no clue what I'm doing, right? And like it didn't work. And I'm like, dude, I don't really know. He's like, do you have Skype? I'm like, yeah. He's like, just fucking use Skype, bro. I'm like, right. Oh, all right, sweet. And so he's like, yeah, I'll send you an invite. And I was like, oh, thank God for you, because I got no clue what I'm doing over here. So yeah, I am. I totally agree.
Are you doing anything with him, with Jordan?
What do you mean?
Does he do like stuff with coaches and trainers yet?
He has like a fitness business mentorship kind of thing, and so like him and Mike Vacanti both kind of like help coaches and stuff. Yeah, but he's played a huge role in my business and my coaching and everything. Yeah, him and Mike both.
That's because I was gonna say, because I've been looking through your stuff and I'm like, dude's cranking out content like nobody's business. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then it's like it's not a spitting image, but there's definitely like Jordan Zayat mixed in there. So did you like reach out to them? Like, did they work with you on that, or is that just stuff you kind of picked up on?
Yeah, so Jordan, I've always followed Jordan. I've always loved his content, just the way he approaches things. So I followed him for a while, and actually it's funny because I mean, I'll never forget this. I messaged him one day on Instagram, which like he gets thousands of fucking messages per day, right? So I messaged him one day on Instagram and I was like, dude, like, any advice for a new trainer, a new coach? This was like, I've been coaching in person for like 3-ish years and I wanted to get into online. And he's like, bro, got time for a phone call? I'm like, do I have time for a phone call? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yes. And so he literally spent like 45 minutes on the phone with me for free, nothing, just like giving me so much game. And I was like, dude, you are literally the best human being I've ever met in my entire life. And so from that call, I kind of started to, obviously I gained so much knowledge. And then I found out that he had this like, this kind of like fitness business mentorship where he does like help coaches become better coaches and those kind of things. And so, they talk a lot about like, not only like systems, but like how to become a better coach and all this kind of, how to produce so much content and all this kind of stuff. And so, yeah, he is, him and his friend, Mike Vacanti. I don't know if you know who Mike is, but yeah. So both those guys, to this day, I talk with them all the time and they're amazing human beings. Yeah.
So what do you feel was the biggest, what do you feel has catapulted your content and your business the most from what you've discussed with them?
It's tough because like, so obviously as they always tell me, and like, as we probably tell our clients, right? It's like, I'm doing the work, right? So like, I'm the one doing, every single day, doing the Instagram, doing the TikTok, doing the YouTube, but like the thought process that they have behind the content and like, like why does somebody go on social media and what makes them share posts and what makes them not share posts, and getting like, Jordan has this thing where it's like, making a post and making sure somebody can take immediate action from it, and that makes it so they actually can go and use it and say, oh, this person actually knows what they're talking about, so they come back and follow you for more content and those kind of things. So I would say it's a mindset. And like for example, I've been writing a lot of articles, and I just actually yesterday, I kind of like researched and saw how many articles were like SEOing on first page of Google. Mm-hmm. And I have like 15 plus articles right now. They're like, if you search that term, it's like they come up as, and my article comes up as the very first thing. And so like, I had no clue how to do that, but they taught me how to do that. Right. So it's like, it's just a lot of like little stuff that I feel like I had the work ethic, but I didn't like know necessarily how to put that into actual practice. And so I'd say that's the biggest thing.
It'd be a similar situation as to someone that comes to you for coaching and says, hey, I'm eating healthy and I'm working out, but not seeing results. It's like, okay,
exactly.
Well, you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping something sticks. Like you actually need like some sort of method to the madness. That's really interesting.
100%.
I love to hear that. How long have you been on TikTok?
Since May 26th of last year. Okay, because Jordan told me, get the fuck on TikTok, Eric. And I was like, all right, Jordan, whatever you say. And so I did. And yeah, that's why.
Were you hesitant beforehand to get on there?
I don't know if I was hesitant. I just didn't know. Like, again, I didn't know what the fuck to do. He was like, I'm like, well, what do I do? He's like, just fucking post anything. And I'm like, all right, like whatever, dude. And so I wasn't like, I guess there was some like, oh, I didn't even know to this day. I don't even know what the fuck TikTok is. Like, I don't consume, seriously, I don't consume any content on there. I seriously don't know. And so I thought it was like, I don't know what the hell it is. It's like a dancing app. And he's like, no, just like go post whatever. And I'm like, well, all right, cool. Like I to this day, I'm like, I don't know, man. But yeah, so I started May 26th of 2020. And at least for a year plus 3 times a day, but in recent probably 4 to 6 months, 2 times a day, every single day, non-negotiable for the past year and a half now. So
right. So and has that app been similar for you in your experience as a creator? Because my experience is it's random, changes all the time. I can't figure it out. Like, so is there a rhyme and reason? Is there a method that you feel has worked for you with that compared to Instagram, or is it just like it is what it is?
I would say so. The thing about TikTok that I found is the difference between TikTok and Instagram is very like relationship, right? Because like, think about the main feed of Instagram. It's the people you follow. It's not people you don't follow, right? Whereas TikTok, the main feed is people you don't follow. So my thing is like, it's kind of tough because you want to build a relationship with the people that follow you, but it's like majority times than not, people are seeing you on their For You page. So I can't like, making content that is like speaking indirectly, not like necessarily like on Instagram, I can kind of like write captions and like people, like I can write captions to my audience and they'll kind of like connect with it because they see me all the time. But like a lot of the TikTok is like people who are just on their For You page scrolling. And so it's not necessarily as relationship based. It's more just like this new guy popped up on my feed. Like I better give them some sort of good info, or why the hell, like I can make posts on Instagram that would do very well that I couldn't do on TikTok because like that person seeing me on their For You page, if I don't grab their attention the first 3 seconds. Like, why would they? Which is crazy, but like,
Right.
why would they follow me? They have no clue who I am. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like really making sure you get their attention and kind of like grab that and keep that is, I think, and making it for people thinking in mind, somebody's going to see this who doesn't follow me. And like, that's my biggest thing, honestly.
So how has that translated for you in your coaching business?
You mean like how I post content on TikTok, or
I guess the question is TikTok responsible for a lot of the clients that you end up coaching? Yes. Okay. A majority, 50-50. What would you say?
I would say so. I would say it's varied. So as you kind of already said, I write articles, I do YouTube videos, I do podcasts, and I do Instagram, right? And so earlier on in my career, a lot of it was coming from TikTok. Like a lot of it was coming from TikTok. But what I've found is a lot of people will, they'll go on my YouTube channel. Oh, I came here from TikTok. Or they'll go on my Instagram. Oh, I came here from TikTok. Oh, I listened to your podcast because I saw you on TikTok. And so it's like, I think what's happening is a lot of that is driving to the other content where they're really diving into the podcasts and the YouTube videos and the Instagram posts. And the more relationship building kind of style of content. And then I think from there, that's what's kind of good. And that's what really I want to use TikTok for anyway. It's like, I'd rather have, like right now I have like 17,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube or something. Like I'd rather have that many subscribers on YouTube who are like invested into videos as opposed to like 1 million followers on TikTok. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I view TikTok as the top of the funnel. And
exactly.
As that funnel or that filter comes further down, you have these other platforms that are more engaging, and therefore the people who aren't that committed or that interested naturally find themselves out, and the people who are get themselves into more of that long form content, and then from there hopefully end up becoming a client.
Exactly.
So for you in your business, was this like a slow and steady progress, or did this kind of go like blow up over a short period of time? Because I think what a lot of coaches, trainers on social media don't understand is they want this overnight success. And they want to reach a certain amount of followers. But first of all, followers doesn't always equate to clients at all whatsoever. There are stories of those influencers that have millions of followers and they try to sell a t-shirt and they sell 10 of them, because people don't give a crap about the person. Truthfully, they're just looking at butts and boobs and whatever the hell else they look at. And then the other element is, what I say, the first one is the followers doesn't equate. The other element is if you did get a ton of clients overnight, you're not going to be able to sustain that. Your business is going to flop as a result of that. So have you had to deal with that, or has it been an easy kind of gradual climb for you?
Yeah. So I think for me, it's been a bit of both so like when I first started posting on like TikTok, again, like that's where a lot of my first clients came from. I grew, I think, relatively fast. Like I think within the first like 3 to 6 months, I had like, I want to say 60 to 90,000 followers, somewhere between there. So I mean, because at that time it was so much organic reach, still is, but so much organic reach. So like, it was just followers left and right. And then, so I would say it was probably faster than most, but again, like I said, I started this by saying like I've posted on TikTok at least 2 times a day, every single day for the past year and a half, for the past 18 months, for the past 20 months. And so like, no, definitely not an overnight, like definitely not an overnight thing. And I mean, I would say it wasn't slow, but it wasn't necessarily like overnight. Like it took time for me to get like, 10, 20, 30, 40 clients. And I did it luckily in a way where it wasn't like, oh, one week I had 10 clients, the next week I had 30. It was like 1 week I had 10, and then I had maybe 11 or 12, and then 14. So it was like slowly but surely it kind of like went up there. Yeah.
So how is your coaching structured? And is there, is it structured in a way to where if you had 50 potential people wanting to come in, you have to be like, nah, sorry, I can't, because that's what I've discovered as a coach is a lot of things that people don't understand is, that if you're providing immense value, especially high ticket, high value, there's only so much you can do because you can only spread yourself so thin. And that's why I'm always like, try to be a little wary of the people that are charging, like $50 a month, but are coaching 300 people. It's like, how much do you really think that they're going to be talking to you? So is there a cap for you? Have you gotten to a place where you've had to be like, it's a waiting list, or talk me through that?
Yeah. I mean, 100%. So number one, yes, like I've gotten to the point where like I took on way too many clients and I was like, wow, all right. Literally 19 hours a day of emails. Like, okay, like didn't know this was going to happen. But I mean, all right, cool. So yeah, there's definitely that line. I've but I crossed that line to find out what that line was. And so now I know what that line is for me. And so I think that was really helpful. The thing about myself is, so over time, I actually started, so I was a trainer in person, and I had like a very large, I had like, it's kind of like an Orange Theory type thing, but it was supposed to be like an Orange Theory type thing, but I never followed that. I just kind of did my own thing. And so I had like over 300 clients like in my program. And so when COVID hit, everyone was like, yo, Eric, what are we going to do, dog? And I'm like, shit, I don't know what the fuck we're going to do. We're going to, so I made like, kind of like how Jordan has his inner circle, I kind of made like something like that as well. So a lot of my like in-person clients came into that, like more of like a group coaching style program. So I have that. And then throughout the course as well, I've also gotten an assistant coach. And now she, not only does she first start out just helping me in my group coaching program, but now she takes on one-on-one clients as well. So like if somebody comes to me like, hey, I want coaching and I don't have any roster spots, I will tell them, hey, I don't have any roster spots, but my assistant coach does have some roster spots. She's the only assistant coach I'll ever have because I don't want to scale my business like that. I'd rather scale my business through like a group coaching model as opposed to like hiring more coaches, because that's just not the business I want to run. So I'm like, hey, my assistant coach is right here. She was a client of mine for 2.5 years. And so clearly she knows what she's doing and I trust her and I love her and all these things. And so if you want to coach with her, awesome. If not, I have a current wait list of, X to X months. And if you want to wait on that, awesome. And that's kind of how I approach that thing right there. So it really just depends on what, I guess, that individual person wants to end up doing, but that's kind of how my current model is set up. Yeah.
Okay. So walk me through your history with training, because you mentioned you were training in person before COVID, which a lot of people were. How long had you been training before that? What's your story? What got you into health and fitness and coaching?
So yeah, so basically how it got started was, I mean, I think like most guys who are 16 years old, like I just want to get jacked. Like, well, I think that, but like I seriously was like, I was always obsessed with like how like just being fucking jacked. Like I wanted to just be huge. Like that was my thing. And I was always skinny as a kid growing up. I was really, really skinny. I gained like 100 pounds in a year. I went from 160 to 260 in a year, which was just like, what the hell was I doing, Eric? It was sweet, but I mean, it was all good. But I remember because like I got pulled over one time and my license or my driver's license said 160. And at that time I was like 270 and they were like, buddy, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, old license plate. But yeah, so no, I started, I just wanted to get jacked. And then like literally I remember, I always say this story, but I walked out of the gym, like the first time I ever went to like an actual gym, not like, so I had like strength training for like 9th grade football, but I was like, whatever. Like I didn't really care. But when I walked into a gym, when I walked out of the gym, I was like, literally in my head, I went home and told my dad, I was like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And he was like, okay, buddy, like you're 16 years old, like calm down, champ. Like it's all good. But I was like, no, like, I was like, dude, I love it. And he's like, we'll see, basically we'll see. And so, I mean, literally ever since then I've been obsessed with lifting. Like I've been obsessed with getting stronger, building muscle, nutrition, like all of it. And literally for my entire life. And so that's kind of how it started. By just wanting to get jacked. And then it went into like, I enjoyed it so much because it was something that, so where like I grew up, a lot of my friends were well off. Like it was a an affluent area. My family necessarily wasn't. I mean, we weren't like poor, but we weren't like my friends in the sense of like they, their parents had more money, those kind of things. Which whatever, totally fine. But for me, I saw working out as something where like like for example, one of my best friends to this day, like for his 18th birthday, his dad got him like a brand new Mustang GT, and I was like, fucking, that's sweet. I got like $50. I was like, whatever, like it's all good. But so for me, like working out and like changing my body, like that was not something you could buy. That was not something that like you had to work your ass off to get it. And I was always like, I've always been obsessed with like just very hard work ethic. And I always, I have him on the wall up here and everything. One of my favorite human beings ever is Kobe Bryant. And so at a young age too, I was obsessed with Kobe, still am to this day. But like that thought process of like just working really hard, like I was really obsessed with that. So I used that in my training. And like, that's why I loved it so much, because it was a direct correlation of the hard work that I was putting in. Like you can't, you can like get plastic surgery, but like you can't buy a body, so to speak. Like you have to work hard, right? So that's really why I fell in love with it. And then from there, it kind of transitioned in terms of like coaching. Like I, whenever like my friends and I would work out, because it's like 16, 17, 18-year-old guys going to the gym, working out, whatever. Like when me and my buddies always worked out, I was always the one that was like, yo, like let's do this program. This is the program we're doing today. And they would always come to me for advice and want to work out with me. And like I saw that, but I also saw, when I saw my buddy hit a PR on his flat bench press or squat or the case would be, I got pumped. Like I freaked the fuck out. Like I loved it. And so for me, I was like, okay, this is making sense. Like, I love working out, but honestly, I love seeing people push past boundaries and what they thought was actually attainable. Like, to this day, like, that's the biggest high for me. It's like somebody like I had a lady earlier, literally today, one of my clients, she was like, deadlifted a certain amount of weight, and she was like, in all caps, she was like, I had no clue I could do this, and I was like, let's fucking go. Like, it's just the best thing ever. So I was like, all right, like, I'm gonna, I wanted to be a trainer, and like the people around me at the time, not necessarily some of my parents, but my parents have always been pretty supportive, but even they were like, trainers like don't make that much money, right? And like, that's not a real job, essentially. Like, I didn't go to college, like I didn't do any of that. And so I was like, I'll figure it out. Like, I'll figure it the fuck out. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know I'm going to figure it out. And so, it's kind of what I did. After high school, I kind of just like, I went to community college for 2 years because I hate school. And then I worked at the supplement store, GNC, worked there for like 2.5 years. And then after that, I moved to where I am now, which is Virginia, because one of my friends at the time, he was a trainer at a gym up here. And I was like, yo, like, I want to get into training. He's like, well, we got this spot open. If you want to go, I can hook you up. I'm like, cool. So I like packed my shit. I slept on his couch for like a month. I don't know. I still don't know anybody here. It's like, I'm here kind of by myself, but I've made tremendous friends in terms of like my clients and stuff, because I started training people in person. So I trained people in person for like 3.5 years. And again, I have like a group coaching program. And so at any point in time, I'd have anywhere from 200 to 300 people in this program in a month span, right? So it's like, I met so many people. I got so much coaching experience. Like, because, imagine coaching 300 people, let's just say roughly, for 3.5 years. Like, the amount of people I saw come in and out of that program, like over and over and over the years, like people who were in the best shape, people who were 500 pounds, people who had, limitations with mobility, like all this stuff. And, I learned so much about training during that time period. And then, so I did that for 3.5 years. And again, that was like, the in-person trainer grind of like waking up at 3:30, going to bed at 8, because you got to be in the gym before people go to work. You got to be in the gym after people go to work. And so, I was there for a while. And then, when COVID hit, I obviously could not work there anymore. And so obviously I got fired, quit, whatever. And so that's when I kind of went into, full head into online coaching. And it's been ever since March 2020, it's been my full thing. And that's really when I started getting serious about like content and stuff like that as well, which I was doing some before, but very, very spotty here and there. Just kind of like, again, didn't really know what to do, but also like I was still working that full-time trainer job. So yeah.
Yeah, when you're in person, it's not nearly as essential to be trying to promote yourself online, especially if you're an employee somewhere, because they do that for you. If you're brick and mortar, they already have the clients coming in, and those are your leads, or I guess you say they have the members coming in. And those are already your leads. And when you transition to online, you have to make, I don't know how someone could transition online and not do that. But what do you feel in those years that you spent coaching in person has best helped you coach people online? Because it is very, very, very different.
Yep. I would say a few things. I think number one, definitely the actual training. Like, I think everyone they want to be like a nutrition coach, and like, that's cool and all. Like, I help you with nutrition as well, but like, knowing how to cue somebody to feel their butt on a glute bridge. Like, when I make my exercise videos, like, everyone always laughs because like they remember, like, put $100 bill up your butt and squeeze it together. Like, you don't want to lose $100 bill. Like, little things like that, where it's like, and knowing the modifications necessary for, hey, I got a shoulder injury. Okay, cool. Don't do your fucking shoulder press like this. Do it like this. And like, a lot of that kind of stuff where it's like, hey, I have a knee injury, or, so many people do a squat incorrectly, but this is why they do it incorrectly. I've seen literally thousands of people squat. So I know like the most common mistakes. I know the most common like misconceptions. I know the most common, oh, you can't bring your knees past your toes. Like, I know a lot of that stuff because I actually trained real people in person. And if I didn't do that, there's no way I could be doing what I do right now. There's just no way. There's no way I could program the way I do. There's no way I could keep people safe in terms of like how you program. Cause like, a program is, it's great, but like, especially online, you're not there with them in person. So you can't make sure they're good. So you got to program in a way that is going to allow them to see progress, but also stay safe at the same time. And if I didn't train people in person, I wouldn't know these most common, faults that people do during specific exercises, whether it's a bicep curl or an RDL or a squat or whatever the case may be. So I definitely think like that first and foremost. I also think I've always been pretty good, like talking to people. Like, it's never really been an issue for me, but especially like in terms of like why does somebody work out? Why does somebody work out versus why does somebody else work out? Like, what is their driving factor? Why are they doing this? Are they doing this because they really want to see progress? Are they doing it because they really want a stress relief? Are they doing it because they have no support in their household? Like, why is somebody doing these things? And so again, just talking to so many people who were in a gym trying to work on their health and fitness, why is somebody doing that? And knowing the emotional side of things that goes into this, I mean, I would sit there and have conversations with these people, literally thousands of people, about like why somebody was in there and why, what made them keep coming back and why do they fall off and all these kind of things. So I learned a lot about that as well, which, has been able to translate into content and stuff like that. Because like people ask me all the time, they're like, your content, I feel like you're talking to me. And I'm like, well, I've had literally millions of conversations with people. And like, that's why I can make the content I do, because like, I'm a real coach. Like I think so many people like online, they're like, they're just posting shit. I'm like, that's cool. But like, are you actually a real coach? Like, do you actually really coach people? Like that's my thing. So yeah, I'd say those are probably the 2 or 3 biggest things.
Yeah, the communication skills are 100% necessary, because there is one thing that people don't understand when it comes to coaching and training, especially if you haven't done it in person, and especially if your online coaching isn't centered around face-to-face conversations, at least over Zoom. You're a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, you're a therapist that knows stuff about fitness. That's literally it. Like, sure, you're not trained to do that, but that's what ends up happening, because like you said, so-and-so is not there to lose 30 pounds. They're not. That's just like, that's the measurement. But they're there to feel better about themselves. They're there because they're upset that their spouse isn't pursuing them anymore, because they feel insecure about them being overweight. That's really why they're there. So like, if you're not able to pick up on that and dig deeper, you're going to have a hard time really resonating with people, and they're going to have a hard time feeling like you're connecting with them, because when that happens, you're just making it about the surface level stuff.
Exactly.
And you're going, you're going a mile wide and an inch deep instead of the opposite. And not to say that that's a bad thing, but I think that there's a lot more fruit that comes from the deeper relationships when you coach. So do you tend to attract, well, do you have a specific like a niche, people that you work with, or do you kind of work with anybody and you tend to attract similar types of people?
I work with anybody, man. Like I work with, I work with, like, I have a guy right now who he just fucking loves slinging around weights, man. He loves slinging around weights. He wants to look jacked. Like he wants to lose body fat. But like, I would say, if the individual wants to lose body fat, if they want to get stronger, if they want to build some muscle, if they want to feel better about themselves, if they want to possibly improve their relationship with food, like I definitely work with people who struggle with like binge eating and stuff like that. Again, not a therapist by any means or anything like that, but I help people with that across their journeys. And yeah, I would say, again, like I like, for example, I work with a 16-year-old kid who just like got absolutely jacked when he was like playing lacrosse. And so it's like, that's like a kind of an outlier. I don't really work with a lot of people like that, but it's like, I'll kind of, if this is what I talk, if you want to work hard and you just want to improve yourself, like I'm down, like let's rock. Like I'm just so down with that. But it's mainly people who want to lose fat, build muscle, get stronger, improve their relationship with food. I think that's the 4 pillars right there.
Is that something that you wrestled with first as a coach? Because that's something that people say all the time. You got to niche down. You got to have a niche. You have to do this or else you won't survive. And I've always found that is not the case whatsoever. Yeah. So is that something you're just like, screw it, I'm not going to bother, or you tried with different niches and then you kind of went from there? How'd that go?
So what I would say is, again, going back to in-person training, I saw so many people, and that was like the niche is like people who want to just get better and improve them. Like I worked with people, again, I worked with like previous professional athletes. I worked with stay-at-home moms. I worked with, business owners. Like it's like people are people, man. Like, going into these like niches, like, and also, again, like I've had some good mentors who are like, hey, that's retarded. That's not retarded. That's stupid. Like, don't do that. Like there's no reason for you to create a niche. Like that's just stupid.
Yeah.
Like put out content, helpful content, and people are going to, whoever resonates with you, that's your niche. Like that's your niche. And so, I had Jordan and Mike who helped me out with that. But yeah, no, I just, again, going back to in-person training, I've trained so many people. So like I feel confident training. Like right now, I have a 71-year-old lady who's in my group coaching program who, like, she is just getting strong as holy hell. She's losing body fat. Like, so the range of people, like, I feel comfortable training anybody. And I attribute that to in-person coaching, because I've worked with so many kinds of people that it's not a thing to me anymore. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. The niche, it's made no sense to me, because like basically what you're saying is, I'm going to take 100% of the population and I'm going to eliminate 90% and I'm going to try to get these 10. It's like, why?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. Like I think over time, if you start with everybody and over time you discover that you work best with X athletes, and slowly over time your brand turns into that, and then you've got this consistent flow, whatever, that's fine. But so many people are like, I work with these people only. It's like nobody even knows who you are. How is that going to go? You're trying to get 1% of the 10% that you're talking to. Meanwhile, you got all these other 90%, millions of people out here that you could potentially be reaching. So with all these different people that you are coaching, have coached, what clients have you enjoyed, like just personally really enjoyed coaching the most, or felt like you related to the most?
Again, I would go back to, again, I'm very big on work ethic. Like that's my biggest thing. And so like anybody who just works their ass off, like that's it. And that doesn't even mean like making the most progress. Like it doesn't mean that to me. It just means like, how much effort do you put in? Do you work your ass off? Do you work very hard? Are you very consistent? I don't even care like how many pounds you lose or how much weight you lift. Like that's irrelevant to me. Are you working incredibly, incredibly hard? Like that's my biggest thing. And they could make the best progress, or, you know, they could have troubled times or whatever the case may be, but like, just work, man. That's the one thing you can control is your work ethic. And so, you know, if people consistently show up, they check in, they work hard, you know, yeah, like they hit their calories to an extent. But again, it's like, if you're struggling, like, let's work through that struggle. Don't just quit. Like, don't just throw your hands up. Like, if you're struggling, we got to work through that struggle. We can't just sit here and like, oh, well, this happened to me, so like, woe is me. Like, no, like we're not doing that. Like you have to, you know, you have to work through that. So I would say anybody who, and luckily, again, I think just from the content that I put out and so on and so forth. And the way I am, like, I've gotten a lot of people like that. Like a lot of my clients are like that. Like we work, man. Like we work hard. Like it's a, you know, yes, of course we balance like life. It's not like we're like professional bodybuilders, but like we put in a lot of effort in, and we take some time, and we're very consistent and very dedicated. And I like to think that like the way I run my program and the way I live my life, like if I'm going to ask that of my clients, I got to do it myself. And so the way I run my business and the way I run my life is the same way. Like it's like, let's work, like let's do this. So that's what I said.
I'm glad you brought that up, because it seems so in the health and fitness space, there's almost always a pendulum, and it always swings from one side to the other, whether it's a way of eating, whether it's, you know, I mean, you had the plant-based thing and then you got the carnivore thing. So you always have stuff that like swings from side to side. And one thing that I've noticed is, you know, maybe 5-10 years ago, the content that was getting a lot of attention and people really resonated with was the rah motivational bodybuilding.com. Let's get after it. If you want to get healthy, you're going to lift and eat like a bodybuilder. And then people realized over time, that's not sustainable. That's stupid. That is exhausting. And then the pendulum slowly starts to go towards the middle, but then it swings the other way. And right now there's this wave of like, hey, in an effort to make people feel like they don't have to commit their whole life to it, we say, you know, you don't really need to do that much. It's not that hard. It's simple. And I think that it's good in some sense, because we want to have people understand that they don't have to give up everything. But I think that, you know, there's another side to it, which tends to be more negative, where people assume like, oh, I might not even have to really try. And it's like, no, you're going to be put through the ringer. You're not going to be puking in your workouts. You're not going to be feeling sick and you can't recover from your workouts. But the consistency is, you're going to have to be, you know, bullheaded with the consistency. And so it reminds me of, because I've been keeping up with your story with the calorie deficit thing, similar to what Jordan Zayat was doing. It's like you had the one day where your weight went down. That's the day where people quit. That's the day where people say, screw it. It does not work. But what's so fascinating is we don't treat anything else like in life like that. Like, what do you, like when you're driving a car, like when a red light comes, like, yeah, might as well turn around. Like it's silly. It's stupid, you know, so we only do it with our health and fitness. But I'm glad you brought that up, because that work ethic is absolutely key. So what do you feel like, you know, if there was like, I don't want to put a number on it, but let's just say like 3 to 5 things that you feel like a majority of people that would be listening to this, the average people that you work with, what do you feel like 3 to 5 things that they just really need to focus on to improve their health and fitness?
Great question. I would say, piggybacking off what you just said, where it's like, you got to get out of the all or nothing mentality. You have to get out of this all or nothing mentality, and you have to realize something is better than nothing. And listen, like, you're talking about 5 or 10 years ago, like Eric Roberts' fitness was in that 5 or 10 years ago, like bodybuilding lifestyle. And listen, like I still do very much enjoy like bodybuilding, and like I actually enjoy the sport of bodybuilding, and I live my life in a very routine kind of way. But like I was that person who I remember, so I can tell this story. I think I was 17 or 18, and we went on vacation, and like, you know, there's no way I'm missing a workout, like just absolutely no way. And like
God forbid if you do, you're gonna get really skinny.
Exactly. That's literally it. That's literally it, man. And so that's legit it. And so I was like, all right, no chance missing a workout. I brought like 4 coolers worth of food with me because it was already prep meals and everything. I'm like, you know, we're going on a family vacation, but like whatever. So I'm like, all right, like Mom, can you drive me around and, you know, can we go to a gym? And so I had no clue what Planet Fitness was because where I'm from, like it's very like small town. So they only had like one gym there, right? And so I was like, cool, like what is this Planet Fitness thing? So I walk in there and I'm like, hey, you know, Planet Fitness worker, where's the barbells? And they're like, oh, we don't have barbells. And I'm like, Mom, turn around right now. We got to go. And she's like, honey, what do you mean? I'm like, they don't have barbells. I got to do a barbell flat bench press. I'm not going here. I'm not doing it. So I went down the street, went to a Gold's Gym. But it was just like that mentality of like, I literally like in front of the guy's face, I was like, oh, this gym isn't real. This isn't a real gym. And I was like, looking back, I'm like, dude, what an idiot. But like things like that, where it's like, you know, I was in that mindset, but I quickly realized like, bro, it's just not that big of a deal. Like going on vacation and missing, you know, 2 or 3 workouts, like it's just not that big of a deal. And something, because again, going back to like so many people quit when their weight spikes up, or they quit when their weight hasn't gone down in, God forbid, a week, or they quit when, you know, they think they went out one night and ruined all their progress. Like I did a podcast with one of my clients earlier yesterday, and talk about being a therapist. And so, you know, she was like, oh my God, well, I had this casserole at night and I couldn't track the calories. And I'm like, okay, like, so what's wrong? And she's like, well, clearly, like, I don't know how many calories I'm eating. I'm like, Ashley, you know, you can like just control like your overall portion size, which is going to control your overall calorie intake. Right. And she's like, well, yeah, but I'm like, but that's the thing though. People get so like, they're so in or they're so out. And it's just like, you have to realize like, just again, consistency over perfection. It's so cliche, but it's just so true. So I think number one, for sure, making sure you're out of that all or nothing mindset and the perfection mindset, just killing that shit right now. And like people know it's bullshit. Like that's why whenever I make a post about something is better than nothing, everyone double taps it. Everyone likes it on Instagram all the time. And I'm like, you're double tapping it, but can you please just listen? Like, and because they know it's real. They know it's true, but like, in their head, they can't rationalize, oh my God, I can't be perfect, so I'm not going to see progress. And so I think that by far one of the biggest things. I think number 2, kind of piggybacking off what you just said, we've swung so far in the flexible dieting world where it's like, yes, like you can eat things and enjoy things in moderation, but it's like, so the way I frame it is like, you have to pay your bills first. In the same way, when you do a financial budget, you have to pay your bills first. And then when you got 600 extra bucks, go buy some shoes or go out to eat, whatever you want to do. Right. Same thing with food. It's like, just because you can eat whatever you want in a calorie deficit, like calorie deficit, great. Like that's amazing. But you still should prioritize protein. You still got to prioritize fruits and vegetables. You can't eat like a 6-year-old kid eating chicken nuggets all day. Like you have to eat real food. And so I think like, and it's such a, it's a concept that, again, I don't think right now, especially, is getting a lot of talk, but it's like, no, like you still got to make your majority of your food come from nutrient dense whole sources, as opposed to, you know, eating chicken nuggets and, you know, some gummy worms at 3 p.m. Like that's not going to help. It's not going to help you. Like, it's not going to, not say you can't do it, but like doing that on a regular basis is probably not going to be your best thing. So I think like making sure we kind of have that balance, and it's hard to like, especially in content, finding that balance with people. It's like that. And that's why I use like the pay the bills analogy, right? It's like, you have to pay your bills first. And after that, like, cool, if you want some gummy worms, fit those things in, that's amazing. But like, you got to pay the bills first. So I think that would be number 2. Number 3 is just massively underutilizing strength training, like actual real strength training, not like HIIT cardio, not beach body, not Orange Theory, not these HIIT boot camps, like actually doing strength training workouts and actually following a real strength training program. I can't tell you how many people have come to me from a beach body or a HIIT workout or an Orange Theory, and we actually get them into a real strength training program. Wow, my energy is so much better. I'm actually sticking to my diet. I like the way I look now. I'm building muscle. I'm getting stronger. I feel so much better. And I'm like, because you were doing 5-6 days a week of this hour boot camp, which hit cardio where you rest for 20 seconds and go for like, it's just no wonder you're feeling so much better, Cheryl. I'm so happy for you. So I think that definitely following a real strength training program. Number 4, just randomly, but just like walking more. It's like, simple concept of just getting out and walking more. Like, I don't care where you are, like get outside and walk more. Such an underrated thing. And especially with all the new research coming out with like even more like how much NEAT impacts, a healthy body, not only healthy body weight, but just an overall healthy body in general. Walking more, I think, is massive. So I think like those maybe 4 or 5 things. I think those are probably the biggest things.
Those are huge. So I want to go back to the strength training one, because that's something that has, in the midst of all the information with strength training, because we all know how extremely it's becoming more mainstream with how beneficial it is. A lot of people have known for decades how beneficial it is, but it's becoming more mainstream. So when you say legitimate strength training versus Orange Theory versus HIIT, what are the characteristic, like the characteristics that signify a distinct difference between standard strength training and something like Orange Theory or a boot camp?
Stop resting for 20 seconds in between your sets. Like it just drives me insane. And so the analogy I use is like, let's say you were like, you had to hold your breath underwater for as long as you can, right? It's like, cool. The very first time you do it, you're going to hold your breath underwater for say 60 seconds because you're very well rested and recovered. Like you're going into it very fresh. You come back up, rest 20 seconds and like, oh, go do it again. You're like, I haven't even caught my fucking breath yet, but like, all right, I'll try. And like, you go back underwater and you hold your breath for 30 seconds. You're like, wow, I couldn't hold it for 60 seconds because I haven't actually fully caught my breath yet. You come back up and like, all right, cool, 20 seconds, go do it again. You're like, what? I haven't even caught my breath from the first time, let alone the second time. So you go back under the water, hold your breath for as long as you can, quote unquote, and you hold it for 20 seconds. So you drastically see your performance has decreased every single time because you haven't actually let your body recover from the work you are doing. And again, in a world where like HIIT cardio and just cardio in general for like weight loss is such a big thing, that's where people go down that path like, oh, I'm sweating, I'm feeling, I'm sweating, I'm burning calories and I'm out of breath. And I think I'm working really hard. When in reality, like, you know what, like to each his own, but I've just seen a lot of times more so than not that actually backfires on you in the long run because you get so beat up, you get so worn down, you get so exhausted, your cravings go up, your hunger goes up, your willpower goes down. And like people are just in this rut of like, well, I got to burn more calories. And so I think that number one, I could talk program design for, 16 hours. I think number 2, just in a sense, like, you're doing movements that you can get better at over time. And this could be any movement, but like, a banded adduction on your glutes. Like it's a great exercise, like Stacy, but like it's you don't really need to do a lunge, do a squat.
What signal are you actually sending to your body when you're doing stuff like that?
Exactly, right. It's following it's really what it is following the basics. And people think they're not going to see progress with the basics, but the basics is what is going to get you the most progress. And so stop doing these, glute Bosu ball squats and stop doing like banded adduction with the band. Like do some squats, do some deadlifts, do some lunges, do some overhead presses, do some like chest press, like basic compound strength training movements. And again, I know some people don't know really what that is, but just think the more basic, the better. Like the more basic, the better. And the more like complex, like you see somebody doing this thing on Instagram, like that's probably not going to get you where you want to be. And to piggyback on top of that, like you got to have a real program. Like stop just picking random exercises on Instagram or TikTok and going to them and like making a random workout from that. That's exercising. There's nothing wrong with exercising, but following a real program is saying, hey, I'm doing these exercises on these days for 4 to 8 weeks at a period of time. I'm doing that and I'm going to increase my workout performance over that. I'm going to do more reps. I'm going to do more weight. I'm going to, lift heavy weight. I'm going to improve my mile time. Like I'm going to improve. I'm going to do a new program. I'm going to improve. I'm going to do a new. And so you're following a real program as opposed to just like going in there with a blindfold on and saying, oh, well, I guess I'll do this today. I'll do that machine today. I'll do this today. And so I would say those, not really answer your question, but those are probably the biggest things I would say.
No, absolutely. You definitely answered it. One thing, I mean, it's kind of like, as far as doing the random exercises, we alluded to it earlier with like throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks, but it'd be, the equivalent of like, okay, I'm going to go like, so my wife and I have date night on Friday. So it's like, all right, we're going to go to a restaurant or whatever. But I've got no clue how to get there. I'm just going to drive until I figure it out. I'm never going to freaking get there. Like I need to know when to take a left, when to take a right, when to exit onto the freeway, whatever. And then I'll know how to get to my end destination. If I just start driving and go plow through somebody's backyard, I'm likely going to get stuck. or I'm not going to get to my end destination. And so having that is so important. And so one thing I wanted to touch on there, because you brought something up that I think can direct us into a really good conversation, is the whole, getting the exercises from Instagram, TikTok thing. We live in this world where information is so incredibly abundant. You have the ability, like within the palm of your hand, to know more than just as much, if not more, than someone does with like a PhD or a master's on any given subject. Sure, the way it's structured and organized may not be as formal, and you won't get the degree or whatever, but the information is still there. Yet we have these people that are more confused than ever. They're running into paralysis by analysis, because you have so many different things. You're like, well, how do I know which one is right? You have, one reel video or one TikTok video, you see this, you scroll to the next one, it says something different. So how do you help people that follow you, that talk to you about this? How do you help them navigate this world of all of this information to dissect and figure out what's important to them and what will actually work for them, so they don't run into that paralysis by analysis?
Yeah, I think it's one of the biggest things. Like whenever somebody inquires to me about coaching, for example, they're like, I just need so what I tell people is like, I take the guesswork out of it for you. And everyone's like, oh, thank God. Like, I don't know what the hell to do over here. And so, I think it's a few things. I think number one, like the way I try to help people is first and foremost by building trust, because so I see a lot of like TikTok comments where they're like, you're the only guy I trust in this app, or you're the most trustworthy guy on this app, or you're the most real guy on this app, or whatever the case may be. And like, when somebody trusts you, they're going to trust what you say. And so if they trust what you say, they're going to be like, all right, you know what? Because eventually what will happen is like, all these people are saying these things, right? And I've had a lot of my clients tell me this. Like when, for example, if somebody signs up for coaching, they're like, you know what? You're the guy. I'm going to listen to whatever you say, and I'm just going to do it. And so it's like, I think eventually people get to a point where they're like, you know what? I trust this guy. He's saying this. I'm going to go with it. And if you're putting out good information and they try it and they see results, like they're going to trust you even more. And they see, oh, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. So if he says something, I'm more than likely going to believe him. And so I think number one, building up that trust. And because again, I see a lot of people, like somebody sent me an email today from my YouTube channel, and they're like, you're the only fitness YouTube channel I've come across yet who hasn't promoted me something or tried to sell me something. And so it's like things like that, where it's like you build the trust first and like do as much as you possibly can to help people for free in perpetuity and give out your best information across all platforms. Like I recently ran like a challenge, and one of the comments, I made a video, and one of the comments was like, oh, I don't have the money to sign up. I'm like, cool. Like all of the information in this challenge is all across my social media channels. There's nothing special in this challenge. Like this challenge is all the stuff I've already said. It's just a way to get skin in the game and keep you accountable and give you some extra guidance and support and accountability. So it's like
a little more organized and structured, but aside of that, all the information is already out there.
Exactly. Right. And so again, information is a commodity. So you give everybody your best information for free in perpetuity, and like, they're going to trust you. They're going to eventually, like, I had somebody on YouTube like comment, they were like, I've been following your YouTube for a few months, didn't really take any action, finally took some action, and I've lost 10 pounds in 2 months, or the case may be. She's like, I'm feeling great. And she's like, that person is probably going to trust whatever I say in perpetuity. If they want to know something about fitness, they're going to go to Eric Roberts Fitness. And so it's like building that trust with people to allow them to, work through all these things. So like, for example, let's take intermittent fasting, right? Like, so we go, hey, what do you think about intermittent fasting? I'm like, calorie deficit. They're like, oh, that's it? I'm like, literally, that, like, all the benefits. Like, and again, when you like, this is why we can look at research and say, oh, intermittent fasting caused weight loss. Okay, but why did it cause weight loss? It caused weight loss because they were in a calorie deficit, right? So it's like intermittent fasting caused better health markers. Okay, was it the intermittent fasting caused better health markers, or was it they lost 60 pounds, which had them improve their health markers, right? So it's like that would, again, go back to a calorie deficit, right? So it's like, I think just, putting it in a way where, again, I think you actually mentioned this to me in the voice message you sent me, but like relaying information to people on their level. Like, stop all these fucking trainers. Excuse my language. I don't know if I can cuss on this, but
You can. I would have stopped you earlier if not.
Okay, cool. Okay. These fucking trainers, everyone thinks like they need to like speak like, oh, yeah, when you're executing the biomechanics of this lat pull down, it inserts in your humerus, and it's just like, stop it. Nobody understands that. Like, you understand that, and other trainers understand that. The people you want to help, they don't understand that. And that's why people get confused, because like, I don't know what this guy's saying. Like, what? How am I gonna take this and put this into my life? They're not going to, so they get even more confused. So it's like I had somebody on TikTok one time, like that place is a whole separate show, but like,
dude, that thing,
you've oversimplified things. I'm like, that's the whole point. What do you mean?
I have 60 seconds. Get off me.
Yeah, it's like, but that's the whole point, because people get so overwhelmed, they don't do anything. And if you don't do anything, you're not going to see any progress. Do something. And so it's that, like, people were getting on me like, oh, this guy oversimplifies everything. I'm like, thank you. That's my goal is. Like, that's what you're acknowledging what I'm trying to do. But yeah, so I'd say building trust, putting it in a way where people can actually understand it. And again, implement it into their life. Like these complex ideas, how can you just put it into your life? And that's what I think the biggest thing is. So
okay, so let's keep going here. Let's create a list that people can try to use to decipher, like to figure out, who they want to trust, who they want to pursue. Because the thing is, like, a big misconception among trainers and coaches, which is definitely something that I see on TikTok that drives me bananas, but it's this complete scarcity mindset. Scarcity, where it's like, I need to bash someone else. I need to put someone else down to make sure that I have clients. And it's like, man, all ships rise and sink together. Like, that's why I reached out to you, because I was like, man, this dude knows this dude's got it figured out. Like, he gets it. Let's see if there are people that follow him that maybe could get information from me. Let's see if the people that follow me that want to work with him, because at the end of the day, we're all here to help people. So we need to be able to create a way for people to find more of those coaches and trainers that care a little bit more about their well-being than they do impressing other coaches, because that's what you alluded to earlier with the whole fancy language. That's just a reflection of them trying to impress their peers so they don't feel small. So you mentioned the trust thing. What do you feel are some aspects that people can look out for to know, like, oh, this is someone that I can trust?
Great question. Answer, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, because I feel like there's a few things. I think number one, like, again, what is their content about? Like, is there content about, like, every single video or every single post they make is like, oh, this person sucks, or this person's wrong, or I'm better because of this, and listen to me because of this. Like, if that's the vibe they're putting out, like, there's something going on there. There's something going on there, and you should probably steer away. And like, people always tag. So this is what people always hate that. I hate that. Please bash this person for spreading misinformation. It's like, that's not exactly. Exactly. They tag me in these things, and I'm like, what do you like? You already know when you tagged me what I'm going to say, because you know the right answer. So why would you tag me? Like, I'm not. And again, you see my content. Like, I'm not going to sit here and make a video bashing this individual for literally no reason. Like, what good is that going to come from me? It's like, to build the biggest building in town, you don't tear down the other buildings. You just build the fucking biggest building in town. Amen. And so it's like, I think that is a huge thing. If somebody is constantly just like trying to prop themselves up, as opposed to just like helping people for free in perpetuity, I think that's a big red flag. I think number two, like, the content, like, is the content they're putting out, like, is it to actually help people, or is it to boost their own ego? Like, if somebody just consistently posts their workouts every single day nonstop, that could help people for sure. That definitely could, because again, like, some people aren't doing any exercise. So doing some form of exercise, yes, that could help. But if that's every single post, like, look at me, like, are they really there to help you, or do they want to just build their own ego? So I think that could be a thing as well.
Absolutely.
Sometimes that gets controversial because, like, let's take some of the bigger influencers, for example, where like they spent 12 years giving out free content education every single day, and now people love them and they share their life. I think that's different. But like, if it's somebody new who is like you need to be giving out your best information for free. Here's another thing. This cracks me up. People will reach out to me like, hey, how much do you charge for, like, to figure out my macros? And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean figure out? Like, what do you mean? They're like, oh, well, I had so-and-so tell me they charge $35. I'm like, here's a free YouTube video on how to figure out macros for fat loss for free. They're like, what? Like, you don't charge me for that? And I'm like, no, what are you talking? No. And so I think, do they give out their best information for free in perpetuity? There's no like gatekeeping. And again, like, even with my coaching, I'm like, again, my information here, I have a YouTube video. It has like 35,000 views. It's like, here's my calorie calculator. Use it if you want to. Eat this many calories. Like, are they putting out their best information for free every single day in perpetuity, or are they trying to gatekeep you into like buying these things? Because I think that can be somewhat of a red flag as well. Again, there's gray area there because of course people have like programs, stuff they sell, which again, like I just told you, I just did a challenge where there's a program, right? But it's like, so that can be a gray area. But I do think like if you're charging people for like figuring out their macros, you got your shit fucked up. So that would be one thing as well. And trust, I think consistency. I think that would be one thing as well. Consistency where it's like, are they showing up? You don't have to post as much content as I do, but like, are they showing up week after week, month after month, trying to help people as much as they possibly can? I think those maybe 2, 3, 4 things would probably be the biggest things.
No, that's that. I love those. Those are awesome because we have to establish that. And I think, you know, something that I want to communicate as well to remind people is at the end of the day, the responsibility falls on you as the consumer.
I was just going to say
that's like the responsibility is on you. If you get tons of like, let's bring something topical into this. The whole Joe Rogan controversy. We say, oh, Joe Rogan is influential. He shouldn't be, you know, doing the ivermectin thing. The dude gets to do whatever the hell he wants with his own body, but he's influential, so other people are going to do it. That's not his fault. You made the choice to listen to someone, whether you agree with it or not, and act on that. Like you're responsible for your own actions. And so, yes, is that harder if you have to decipher through potential misinformation? Of course. But you're not going to have this reality like made up world where everything is perfectly accurate for you, the context of your life, the context of your training history, your goals, all that stuff. You have to figure that out. And one thing that I want to add to that, because that's a great list. I think the last thing I would add, going off the responsibility thing, is put the phone down and do it. Like put the phone down and try it and see, okay, you mentioned doing the, you know, doing an actual phase structured program for 4 to 8 weeks. Do that. What was the feedback that you got? What was the feedback? Okay, I noticed that at week 5, my strength went down here. But I noticed that my energy was also getting low here. But this is also a part of my life where I was really stressed and I was getting bad sleep. You collect that data. Then you refine. You learn more. The whole process is just about learning more about your body. First, you get the information. You apply the information into your life. And then that teaches you about how that application reflects with you and your own body, your own genetics, your own epigenetics, all that stuff. And then you can continue refining the process from there. And so people always like it. They'll send it, you know, on a Q&A the other day. They were like, which one's best? The elliptical, the bike, or the treadmill? And I'm like, what are we talking about here? Best according to what? For what purpose? For who? Why? You know, like we can't just live in this black and white world where we say has to be one way or has to be the other. So anyway, without going on a whole tirade about that, let's just narrow it down, figure out what you feel is most important to you and resonates with you the most, and then go do that thing for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, see what happens, and go from there. So bouncing off of that, kind of segueing it further into the social media thing, how have you learned to navigate the world of TikTok? Because that animal is different than anything that I have experienced in my entire life. So I guess I'm going to give you a general and broad question. What are some of the great things that you've gained and learned from that app? What are some of the things that you could do without and you feel that, you know, people might need to watch out for? Or just give me your general thoughts on that as far as TikTok goes.
I mean, I'm forever going to love that app because it changed my life literally forever. I mean, my life will forever be changed by that app, and it's a free app. And so like, you know, I love the app. I think there's so many great things I mean, you could talk about from a consumer perspective, you could talk about from a business perspective, you could talk about so many things. I'll give one for consumer, one for business. Like if you are a business, like again, the organic reach is insane. So you don't have to pay any money and you can just put out free content. And if it's good and it's helpful, you're going to get people interested in you. You're going to build a following, all that kind of stuff. So amazing for business. For consumer, like it's literally, I mean, it's one of the reasons why it's like one of the fastest growing apps ever. Like it's so like the dopamine you get from video to video to video to video. It's like, it's a very good app. It's a very well-structured app, and it's a video. You're very engaged. It's not too long. And so it's a phenomenal app. And I guess you want to speak to like my personal experiences with the app or?
Yeah. I want to,
cool.
As you as a coach promoting health and fitness, promoting yourself, promoting your business, what are the things that what have you
Perfect.
learned from that app?
Yeah, I mean, so I'll give you a few good examples. I mean, the amount of people that have messaged me saying, "You've changed my life. I lost 50 pounds because of you. This is the best I've ever felt. You've changed my relationship with food. I wake up every day and I love your motivation." Like the amount of just number one, positive, kind messages, but more so number two, like the amount of people who I've luckily and blessedly been able to impact through that app, like just putting my phone to my face and talking into my phone. Insane. Like it's such, I literally pray every night. And I thank God. I'm like, I thank you for allowing me to just impact so many people. Like it's nuts. Like it's absolutely nuts to me because again, all this started from just like a kid who was way too obsessed with working out and like nutrition. Like I was just fucking obsessed with this. So I was way too obsessed with it, but that's how this all started. And so like for it to come to this, you know, I have over 500,000 followers, which is just like nuts to even say. But like, yeah, I think I'm thankful every single day, and I'm blessed to be able to just like have, you know, people who are interested in me be able to build a business, be able to impact people, like be able to help people at scale, to be able to fight against some of the misinformation. I'm forever blessed. One of the downside, whatever. Like I just had a video that went viral. It was like 1.5 million views on there, and it was about like a tricep extension. Again, people, yeah. So people just lose they lost their shit. They're like, I mean, if you go to some of those comments, they're pretty rough. They're like, this guy is not even in shape. This guy, why would you take advice from somebody who's not in shape and all this kind of stuff? This guy has no fucking clue what he's talking about. You know, I learned better than this when I was in 6th grade. And so I think, you know, it's ruthless, right? It's ruthless. And I think a few things, especially earlier on when I was not used to it, it would really fuck with me. Like it would fuck with me a lot. Cause I was like, shit, man. Like I don't like that kind of like energy, I don't vibe well with that kind of energy. I don't like to engage in that kind of energy. And so like, it really was tough for me at first, because I took it really personally, and I didn't want to engage in that kind of interaction. And the comment section can just be ruthless sometimes, which again, like I'm putting myself out there. So it's a product of what it is. And people can say they have their own opinions and they can think whatever they want. But, you know, it can be tough sometimes when, you know, people try to call you out for this or that, and they twist your words or whatever the case may be. And it's like, you know, that can sometimes, you know, it can deter me. Like, I'm like, all right, I don't really want to go on this fucking app today. Like, I don't feel like dealing with this shit today. Like, I don't feel like dealing with it. So, you know, I think that can be a downside. Like, you know, Jordan has talked about this before, but, and I'm nowhere near on his level yet, but he's talked before about like how having a very, very, very high following count is not always the best thing. And,
Gosh,
you know,
no. Like the whole like idolization of celebrities earlier, I'm like, who I would never want that ever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and,
like,
and you know what? Like so like I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it seems like you're already going into it, but I would love to hear, because I've had to deal with that as well. Probably not to the extent that you have, but I would love to hear how you've navigated through that, because I get a sense that you and I have very, very, very similar personalities, and perhaps even, if I go so far, love languages. Like you've mentioned several times the words that people have said about you, and you smile when you say it. So I'm willing to bet that words of affirmation mean a lot to you, which also means that when they are not words of affirmation, they tank you down, because that's how I am. You know, so I would love to hear, you know, if you know how you've kind of just navigated through that.
Yeah, I mean, so like for example, I was in a grocery store the other day, and again, this is just nuts to me, but I was in the grocery store the other day, and this dude came up to me. He's like, "Yo, Eric," and I'm like, "Oh, what's up, man? Like, what's going on?" He's like, "Dude, I followed you for, you know, the past since you've been on TikTok, and I've lost 60 pounds. I'm like, da-da-da. And I'm like, bro, that's fucking insane. And he's like, can I get a picture with you and all this stuff? And I was like, yeah, bro. I was like, of course. And so like, that's sweet. Like, that is so cool. But like, that's a double-edged sword, because now it's like you have all these eyes on you, right? And it's like in a world of like cancel culture and all this kind of stuff, it's like, you know, where do you go? What do you navigate to? All this kind of stuff. And so it can be hard sometimes. That's why, like, and I've always been like this. If I was not doing the business I do, I would not be on social media at all. I wouldn't be on Instagram. I wouldn't be on TikTok. I wouldn't be on anything. And so I don't share a lot of my life, and that's because I don't enjoy it. Number one, I don't feel comfortable sharing my life. Like I feel way more comfortable like helping people in their lives. I don't feel comfortable sharing my life. But again, like people are fucking crazy, man. Like I don't, people are nuts. And again, having more eyes on you just means like, potentially speaking, I don't say more like fuck ups, but I guess you kind of get what I'm saying. And so, yeah, I mean, the way I navigate it is a few things. Kind of taking a step back and just being like, all right, like why am I mad? Like somebody commented on my post saying I'm not in shape, and then I go look in the mirror and I got my biceps and my abs, like, all right, I'm fucking in shape, like it's all good. Like, and so it's like, why is this pissing me off? Like some random person who would never say this to me in real life, like just commented something because they feel really strong that day. It's like, and it's really coming from a place of like I would never in my existence of my life think about going on a post and commenting something negative. That's never crossed my mind. It's never crossed my mind. It never will cross my mind. It's totally like, but for me to think about the mindset somebody has to be in order to do that, like that person's fucked. Like that person is in such a bad place where I'm like, yo, like, and I actually had this one time, like somebody commented to something and I responded in a video and I was like, dude, like, I'm really sorry. If there's anything I could ever do to help, I was like, let me know. And he's like, he literally commented back and he's like, bro, I'm so sorry. Like my girlfriend just broke up with me. My kid's doing this. Like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, that just shows, like that one time showed me, I was like, wow, people like, they don't even think. Like they don't even think before they make a comment. Sometimes it's insane to me, but like, they don't think before they make a comment. And I'm just like, all right, why is this pissing me off? And I'll say too, like it builds thick skin. Like I've heard it all. I've heard like this dude has no clue he's talking about. I get all the time because I only show my face, which again, like I don't show my body because like I'm not here to show you my body. I'm here to help you. But like either way, this dude's fat. Why would you take weight loss advice from a fat guy or whatever the case may be? And I'm just like, dude, you really have no clue. Like I just don't even understand. But yeah, I would say it builds thick skin. And like, at the end of the day, like I don't want them to win. I want to win. I want the people who want to follow me to win. So it's like, if I was to completely back off, then they're winning. I'm not winning. They would be winning. And I don't lose. I only win. So yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest things.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's tough. It's almost like you wish you knew before you gotten into it. Like you could take a course on how to prepare for it, on how to deal with it. I think going on to the subject of the thick skin, it also prepares you, if you're self-aware enough, like you did, to reflect on why you're reacting a certain way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, why in the world am I letting user 1857926 saying that I am fat or whatever? Like, why am I letting that bother me? Well, clearly, maybe I have some insecurities still to deal with. Or, it just gives you more insight on who you are as a person. But it's so important to not take it personally because, like you said, it's easy to, because it feels personal. Because the way our brain registers it, I don't know if there's science, but I'd be willing to bet there is. But the way our brain registers it is like someone that's standing right in front of you and saying that to your face. That's literally not what's going on. Someone is looking at a video of you, commenting on it, likely to, get likes from other people, who knows why, and then that's it. But like the way we perceive it is like someone knowing all of who we are makes that judgment about us, but that's not true whatsoever.
Right.
So it's definitely far more a reflection of them than it is on you or I as an individual. So thank you for sharing that. I love to hear that, just because that's something that people don't realize, and I think it's so important for us to react out of a place of or I should say respond instead of react out of a place of like, this is their thing, this is not my thing, because then it allows us to come from more of like a place of love, and then it allows us to keep moving forward instead of getting bogged down and being dragged down to their level.
Yeah, if you like, I've respond like once every 4 to 6 months, I'll respond to one of those comments on my TikTok, and like I just did one the other day because the guy was like, "Why would you take muscle building advice from a guy who has no muscle?" Right? So I like showed like 3 or 4 pictures of me flexing, whatever, and I was like, "Listen, like this is what's like fucked up with the whole TikTok space." I'm like, you guys think that like everybody's 5% shredded like a bodybuilder year round. Like that's not what real people do. And it's not what real people walk around like. And these people get these perceptions in their head of like, until I look like that, I'm not in shape, or I won't be successful, or I won't be happy. It's like, that's not real. It's not real. And so I'm glad you called me that. Like that makes me actually happy, because that proves to me I can build over 500,000 people following me without needing to look like or show my body like this or set this unrealistic expectation, because I can't tell you how many people are like, but I want to look like them. And I'm like, do you understand? Number one, that's not real. Number two, they do 2 hours of cardio per day. Number three, it's perfect lighting. Number four, they're on performance enhancing drugs. Like, it's not real. And so like, I'll respond every now and then just to like kind of humble people, because I also know like my following will like go comment and be like, I don't want them to be mean, but like, I know like, oh, sure, that looked really smart. Like, great job, dude. But
right.
yeah. So, you know,
and I've been following Eric for so long. That's not reflective of who he is. And that's that. Anyway, keep going. I'll get into the next thing I want to talk about.
Yeah. So, but no, I think that's it. Like, I think just, you know, taking it and, you know, again, it's like kind of like evaluating kind of what's really going on, and like, am I really going to let somebody who just made a comment on TikTok like really ruin my day? Like, I can't let that happen. It's not, because again, they would be winning. Like, if I really let that get to me, they'd be winning, and it's just that's not acceptable. So yeah.
I think a key element too, and this would be more so speaking, whoever's listening, speaking to people who maybe are coaches or trainers, or anybody that wants to create some sort of like following or business or whatever from social media, is like you have to be authentic from the get-go. Mm-hmm. Because if you're not, you're going to be exhausted keeping up that image. And two, something's going to happen and you're going to crumble. Like, for example, you know, if that had happened with that commenter and you haven't been authentic this whole entire time and you hadn't built this trust, everybody else would have been like, yeah, this dude's a fraud, you know. Mm-hmm. But they're like, no, we know Eric. Like, that's not who he is. That's not what he's about. And so when you're authentic to yourself, like you stay true to yourself, and you reflect that with your audience then knows that, and that builds this stable foundation to where when you have these numbnuts that come in every once in a while and say something, it doesn't mean a thing. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yep.
So, well, Eric, I've loved this conversation, dude. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I'm extremely thankful. Where can people go? Because you have great content. Where can people go to find you? Any and all platforms, anything that you want to share?
Yeah, for sure. TikTok, at Eric Roberts Fitness, Instagram at Eric Roberts Fitness, YouTube, just Eric Roberts, type my name, podcast, Eric Roberts Fitness Podcast, and I write articles on my website, ericrobertsfitness.com. So just do a quick Google search of Eric Roberts Fitness, and I'm sure multiple things will come up.
Somebody get this guy a VA.
Yes.
How much longer can you handle this content?
Oh my goodness, I cannot believe it is over already. Hey, thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. Hey, listen in. If you have a health and fitness goal that you are trying to reach, I don't know what else to say other than to say it must be a match made in heaven. If you didn't know already, Pullman Fitness exists to transform the body, mind, and spirit through personal coaching and sustainable fitness plans for any stage of life. So, if you want to reach your goals, build sustainability, and enjoy life all at the same time, you guys got to check out Premier Coaching at Pullman Fitness. From custom-tailored programming to 24/7 access to your personal coach, you'll have everything that you need to succeed. You guys can find out a lot more about Premier Coaching as well as our membership program at pullmanfitness.com. Hey, if you enjoyed the show, share the love by leaving a 5-star review and introducing the podcast to your friends and family. As always, thank you so much for listening, and until next time, this is the podcast.